J-Dub. So
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, that's a fact because one of my coworkers back when I worked at Gray Bar, she went to the same Kingdom Hall as Darren Collison's wife. So
Mm, she
them
loves.
kicks. Hey, are we really in here? Here we are.
Yeah, we love.
This is
In
crazy.
that case, shoot, run that intro.
Run that. What up? What's going on, people? Beautiful people. Our people. Here we are. Another beautiful week in the wide world. Not even wide world of sports, just the wide world. It is a big world. I feel like the more we
Hey, it is.
I can't hear nobody.
day by day. Oh, there he is. Yo, hold up. Time out.
Emmanuel hopped in. Technical difficulties already.
Manuel hopped in. Like never mind. I'm gonna be nice.
Oh, I'm happy with that PS5 price points. I didn't watch the showcase, but all that mattered to me was just the
Can you
price.
guys hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, he
No,
came in with the. I told you, came in with the reporter mic, bro.
No, I had some difficulties. That's why I was taking a little bit. But all right, we're good. We're good then. Okay, cool.
No, you good. You good, Doc. You good. Did you get a fresh cut? I know we
No, I cut my. I gave myself a little dark Caesar. You know.
Oh,
okay. Gave himself a dark Caesar, huh?
Yeah, just dark Caesar.
I respect it. Not respect, but respect it.
Yeah,
Everybody out here with the cuts and whatnot got the hair.
Hey, the team fresh. The team. We in here.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey,
with a fresh beverage. You
What's in that cup?
Oh, me too. What you got in your cup?
Berry punch. Minute Maid.
Oh, that Minute Maid. See,
for
Minute
all
Maid.
my Cowboys fans.
Ooh.
All my bougie folks. I'm a bougie folk. I got the homemade cold brew with the oat milk. Drop.
Yeah. I'm about to eat a dragon fruit later on, though. I'm gonna keep it healthy.
A whole dragon fruit, though.
Shout out to
Look
Dallas.
at us. Look at us, y'all.
Dallas,
Right.
Texas.
We got the Rams, no longer the Lambs. We got dark Caesars and berry punch. We got cold brew and oat milk. We are sophisticated out here, y'all. We sophisticated. And fresh cuts. We got fresh cuts.
All of us.
Yes, indeed.
All of us. Gents, how we living though? How we living? First week with like all kinds of sports going on. The trifecta is back. Football is back.
Well, first of all, I got a new laptop, so my week has been well. New laptop arrived yesterday. It was an emergency call. Came in clutch. I'm looking at myself right now on StreamYard, and I look fresh. It looks crisp. It looks clear.
Oh, he's feeling himself.
Back
you feeling yourself.
Hey, yo, you look good though. And I was like, hey, I feel it. Appreciate it.
Feeling himself.
But otherwise, when it comes to sports, I mean, for me as a fan, a lot of good things happened this week. We had the Rams showed up Sunday night in their new home, SoFi. The game was a little rough at times, but overall, it felt good to see us set the tone. Now we just got to keep it moving forward. We got the Eagles next week. We haven't beaten them in like 3-4 years, so we need that dub. Celtics made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. It was a nail biter. Last week was stressful for sure. We had a 2-0 lead. Ended up in 7, but as you guys remember, I was like, yo, Celtics is, I just didn't think that the Toronto would die. Like, however, we just had game 1 in the conference finals, and we choked that. We choked that one big time for sure. But we have time to adjust, and unlike some other teams, we're still in it. The Mets, We got a new owner. Shout out to Steve Cohen. The promised land is in our future. We have someone with money, someone who cares. He's low-key similar to Steve Ballmer is to the Clippers, so that's great for us as a fan base because the Wilpons have been trash. Joe Burrow had a decent rookie
Wilpon
debut.
still got 5%. Though. They still
Decent
got 5%.
rookie debut. Yeah, but when you have 95%, you could care less about that 5%. You could care less. He's honestly the second richest owner in all of sports, in North American sports. So I'm happy with that one. Yeah, Joe Burrow didn't have a bad rookie, and AJ Green had high praise for him following the game, so that made me happy. LSU is sick. Half the team got COVID. Coach O is like, well, hopefully they heal up and hopefully they'll be ready for the next game. And I'm like, dog, what? But that's neither here nor there. Well, it's been a good week. Good week for sports.
What about you, E-Man? What's sports looking like for you, sir?
Man, awesome. Obviously, with NBA going on, NFL, what's been going on with them, and then the NHL, Dallas Stars. No, we don't talk about NHL that much, but Dallas Stars, they advance.
Bro.
Yeah, to the Stanley Cup. Yeah, and then I think the Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, double OT.
Right. Yeah. So I'm trying to get caught up with the NHL. I've been kind of inconsistent. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm trying to keep up with it. But Tampa Bay, they've been having what's funny is I've been paying attention to their talent over the last I say like 4 or 5 years, and they've been kind of coming up lately. And obviously they had Stamkos, one of the top NHL. Yeah, Steven Stamkos was one of the top NHL scorers in the NHL, and then they got Tyler Johnson. That was a guy I was looking for because he came in as a rookie and I saw him grow. And now he's like one of the best young players in the NHL. So like they got the Tampa Bay, they got a nice squad, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did win if they did win it all. But if you look at the Dallas Stars teams, they always get players, especially in free agency. They always kind of like get players for free agency that they come fresh from a Stanley Cup. Like you look at the past when Detroit had that big run in the mid to late 90s when they won Stanley Cups. They took Brett Hull and a couple other guys. And then now, when the Chicago had a little run. Squad. Yeah, remember Chicago had a little run about 5-7 years ago. But between them and LA, back and forth. And then and then they start taking some of the Blackhawks defense because the Blackhawks they had a lot of depth. They just couldn't afford everybody. They couldn't. So some people had to go, and they got some other guys from like Pittsburgh and Chicago and blended in, and now it's like Dallas got their own team. So they have a tendency to get
all over again.
It's like Dallas is in the same cycle. They always get players that fresh wins a championship, and they give them a big deal. They're trying to form their squad. That's what I've been noticing with the Stars over the past.
And shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Steven Stamkos was injured. He returned back to practice today, so there's a possibility that he might be able to show up for them for the Stanley Cup. That'll be huge, almost on the same level as when KD was out, through most of the playoffs last year, and he made that return. And listen, I'm not even a Warriors fan, but when he came into that game against the Raptors, I was like, ooh, dinosaur's about to go extinct. Oh,
how that turned out though.
Oh, my goodness. That broke my heart. And then to watch Clay go down in the third, I was like, listen, God wants the Raptors to win. First, Kawhi shot against the Sixers. Then the Warriors lose 2 out of their big 3 in the same game. And Clay's happens as they're making a run. Oh, man, God wants the Raptors to. God wants Kawhi to win this title. He wants the 6 to win. It was, to quote the prophet Drake, God's plan. Okay.
That being said, then, we have to discuss the Game 7.
Yes.
But Denver coming back from 2 straight series down 3-1. At this point, I'm like, God, you planning something? Because Denver I'm not going to sit here and say. I'm not going to sit here and say that Denver's beating LA. I'm not saying that, but I'm gonna be really upset if it's anticlimactic and LA sweeps after the 2 series that Denver has had and how they fought for them to get swept is going to be a problem.
I would be upset, but I wouldn't be surprised. You think about it, you've gone back-to-back series, game 7s, fatigue might start to set in, especially not just at a physical level, but an emotional level as well. That's a lot of adrenaline you got going through you. It would be anticlimactic, but I wouldn't be surprised. Shout out to the Clippers, though.
The fatigue would be a bigger factor if it wasn't in the bubble because of all the traveling. I think the fatigue definitely would be a bigger issue.
That's true. I think yes and no. I really believe from an emotional standpoint, that's where it might be a problem, where it might set in. But let's be realistic. Let's get to the nitty-gritty, though. Well, yeah. Let's get to the nitty-gritty, though, of this. The Clippers were supposed to be the team in LA. They're supposed to be LA's team now, apparently. I don't know what backtrack. We've said this time and time again on the show. People are prisoners of the moment. So a bunch of prisoners of the moment watch the Lakers take a L to the Clippers on opening night, okay? People lost their minds. Oh, Clippers a new team in LA.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? They saw Kawhi's little commercial, with him, King of LA on the keys, and folks lost their minds. Then we fast forward to the first 2 matchups those teams played, including the Christmas Day game, which frustrated me to no end. Lakers lost. Last matchup that they had before bubble life ended up happening. Lakers won, LeBron. And granted, I am not a LeBron James fan, even though I'm a Laker fan. But I'll say this. This man in back-to-back games in a 3-day span took down Giannis and the Bucks, who were the number 1 team in the league, and the Clippers. So I can respect that. But the Clippers are still the Clippers. But I said this at the top of this season, and I don't know where the receipts are at, either on this program or on Full Court Press. But I got receipts on this, and I said this. I don't trust the Clippers. I've said this all season. No offensive identity. And then you look at, I always went back to the statement they asked Doc Rivers at the beginning of the season. We know what it looks like for load management with Kawhi. It's part of the reason why he came here, all of that. And Doc Rivers said, yeah, best case scenario, Kawhi's going to play 66 games. So that's already 16 games he's not going to play. That's about an average of, I think, like every 3 games he was going to sit out. Okay. I'm sorry, every 4 games at least that he would sit out. So he sits out every 4 games. Couple that with Paul George's injury history, because Paul George, has his shoulder problems and all of that. The Clippers, in terms of offensive identity, were not going to be there. Now, most people have said it, and if you watch the games, you'll see it. The most fluid that the Clippers offense looks is when that second unit is in, and you have a Lou Will and a Montrezl Harrell running that pick and roll and just doing what they do. Fast forward now to this game 7. Well, fast forward to game 4, first of all. Or game 5, I had no thought or inkling that the Clippers were going to go ahead and take that out. I thought, Clippers are going to clinch this. This is game 5. Worst case scenario goes to game 6. They're for sure clinching. And if you watch all 3 of these games that the Clippers gave up, the reason why I will agree with some people who say this might be the biggest choke job in sports history, in NBA history by like some superstars with a 3-1 lead is for this reason. The Clippers were up double digits in the second half in all 3 of these games that they lost. Double digits.
Yes.
You got Kawhi, who folks created some narrative. Credit to Kawhi. He didn't create this narrative. People did, that he's, better than LeBron. And shout out to, I'm not going to name his name, but a certain man on a show on ESPN, won't even say the network correctly, who said that Kawhi is the most clutch player of all time. No comment. And they get to this game 7, and they just stunk up the game 7. You got everything to play for. And y'all talking about, reports came out that players were fatigued and couldn't play more than 3-minute spurts in the fourth quarter. This is game 7. This is your reputation on the line. Listen, we got Mike with the flu game, or as we found out, the food poisoning game. You got Isaiah Thomas who had an ankle so swollen he could barely fit in his shoe, and you ever telling me you're tired? You're tired? I wanted somebody to cue the Dave Chappelle Prince episode where Charlie Murphy was talking about it's hot, I'm tired, and he said, "Why don't you purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka?" Like that's what y'all needed. You need to go get some of that Lake Minnetonka water. I was happy as a Laker fan to see it. I was disgusted as a fan of the game to see it. Emmanuel, what were your thoughts from watching that game or this series?
Well, first of all, when they were up 3-1, and basically on Game 5, when Denver won, I was like, I believe Denver's going to win this series. Jokic is a problem for them. Clippers don't have no size on the front court. And shout out to Sean Lowry. And me and him do agree that Jermichael Green should have had more playing time, first and foremost. He's a very underrated 4-5 guy, frontline player, and he should have got more minutes. Doc
gave the Lakers problems in their three previous matchups. He gave the Lakers problems.
Exactly. And for him to get not as much playing time in this series is mind-boggling. Jokic and Murray, they just basically torched. I didn't see no adjustments after Game 5. Jokic was picking them apart, being a playmaker. Like it's like how you pick and roll. Murray passes him on the roll, and then it's either a wide open mid range shot or Jokic is like another point guard being a playmaker. See who's open. You see who's open, or somebody's cutting to the basket. He just looking at defenders.
And about Joker for his whole time in this league. We've known that his playmaking capabilities are top tier. He can do that, right. And yet to not adjust to that and try to take that element away, because we know he's not a defender. We know that he's not going to lock down the paint for you, so you can attack the rim. Even though he definitely has some shining defensive moments in the last few games, but come on, you got to adjust. Doc Rivers,
right. Yeah, I didn't see no adjustments whatsoever from Doc, and it's just the team seems like it was out of whack. I mean, obviously in the beginning of the season started with PG-13. I believe he was out for a long period of time due to his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. And then Kawhi with his load management. And then it was like, okay, this is kind of throwing off the chemistry here and there. And then once they both start playing, they started winning more games. It seemed like people were hopping more on the Clippers bandwagon than the Lakers. That's what I've seen. And then now I'm hearing excuses. Now there's a report by shout out to Chris Haynes from Yahoo saying that Montrez and PG got into a heated argument in Game 2. Yeah, which was the Denver's first win. Not mistaken.
Yeah, it was their win. It was their first win.
Yeah, it was their first win on that series. So and then it seemed like there's more to the story with the Clippers roster than what we believe. Then Lou going to Magic City, almost at Atlantic City.
Lemon pepper Lou. Lemon pepper Lou. I'm about to have some lemon pepper wings tonight.
Hey, that sounds really good.
Right, I'm about to have some lemon pepper.
Speaking of which, you saw Jack Harlow's tweet. It was
the amount of petty that has proceeded in the aftermath of the Clippers losing has brought so much joy to my heart. Some of y'all say, "Oh, son, how can you be so petty?" Listen, after what we have heard here in Southern California, as a Laker fan, after the noise that I've heard from people, the Clippers about to give the Lakers problems, y'all couldn't get past the Nuggets. The Nuggets didn't get dipped. Folks was like, the Nuggets are down 3-1. They dipped. No, the Nuggets got baptized. They came up out of the sauce, and they gave the Clippers the business. To your point, Emmanuel, after Game 5, that Game 5 loss, there were no adjustments made on Jamal Murray or Jokic. After Game 4, there was adjustments made. No, Game 2 or 3 was adjustments made. I watched the Clippers systematically in game, I think it was 4 or 5. Really do a great job defensively on Jamal Murray. Quiet as kept, a stat that no one talks about. Jamal Murray in this series had the second highest point decline between series in NBA playoff history. I think it was like a -13 or something like that from the previous series.
Sean Marion.
Yeah, Sean Marion. There you go, was number 1. So The Clippers did a great job on him. I watched in game 3 and 4 just to see how they matched up with him defensively. They weren't letting him get to his spots. When he would get to his spots, they would run a second man at him to get the ball out of his hands. They didn't let Jamal Murray cook. And then they lost game 5, and it was as if they forgot all of their marbles. Right. Or Doc Rivers became who we've known he's always been. Because Doc Rivers, this is now his, third series that he's given up a 3-1 lead in. And this might possibly be the worst. The 2015, Western Conference semis against the Rockets was pretty bad. Okay, I remember watching game 6.
No Harden in the fourth.
No Harden. And game 6 not even the fourth, through halfway through the third, all the way through the fourth and OT. And you know what the lineup was?
Yeah, that's right.
We're at 21. The lineup that the Rockets had on the floor: Josh Smith, Dwight Howard, Corey Brewer, Jason Terry at point guard.
And I'm pretty sure, was it Jason Terry at point guard, or was it Pablo Prigioni at point?
No. Jason Terry ran point at the end of that game. Jason Terry at point guard. Bro.
He can play point, but he's more of a 2 though.
Yeah, NBA champion Trevor Ariza was.
Yeah,
let's not forget.
Yeah. I think Trevor Ariza was the fifth guy. That is your 5 against the Clippers with DeAndre, Blake,
Lob City Clippers,
Lob City, and y'all gave up I think it was a 21 or 22 point lead to this team. I mean, the run that the Rockets went on, it was something like 27 to 3 or something like that. Just a wild run. Doc Rivers, as much as people are going to clown Kawhi, are going to clown PG, Doc Rivers has to be held accountable at this point. And I ask you guys this question: do you feel that Doc Rivers is overrated?
Yes.
Even though he won us a title in 2008, yes. I mean, look, on your resume is 3 blown 3-1 leads. That's an issue. That's a big issue. In both conferences.
It's not like you did it in one conference. You did 2 out of the 3 in the West with teams that arguably people were saying, oh, these teams are going to be it. Like these are going to be the teams that's going to play in the finals. And you blew it. When you look at the superstars who've been on those teams as well, I won't call Paul George a superstar, but you look at this Clippers team, we got at least Kawhi. You look at that Lob City team, you had CP3, people call him the point god, right? And a Blake Griffin. You have had pieces, and quiet is kept as well. Let's not forget this. The Clippers in that trade with the Thunder this past offseason to get Paul George traded away SGA and their first round protected picks until 2026. These dudes will not have a first round pick until 2027.
It's unfortunate because they won't get Imani Bates.
You don't get show.
They not getting Imani Bates. They not getting Bronny. They not getting Zaire. They ain't getting nobody. Okay, I don't care who they thought they not even getting Doc Rivers' youngest boy. I don't remember his name, but Doc Rivers' youngest boy is about to be a freshman in college. They're not even getting him. Right. They're not getting anybody.
What they have to do is let Harold walk. He's looking to get the bag, get it elsewhere. You gotta move Luke Williams. You gotta move him.
Hey, bring him back to LA. Bring him back to the real LA team.
And to be honest, you just gotta hope that. Well, you need Doc to actually utilize your young talent and to mold them. Like Zubac, we already know Ivica Zubac has been solid. And he can really be something really good for them if Doc Rivers continues to give him minutes. And then you just have to hope that you're able to attract free agents. Like, that's what you're going to have to rely on for the next couple of seasons. Or that second-round draft picks hit.
Who's a free agent that you guys think the Clippers should look after, should hunt?
I think best case scenario is I think there's going to be talks. I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers talk to Boogie Cousins. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he's going to sign with the Clippers. I personally he's going to sign with the Lakers after this season. That's my personal opinion. But I believe you're going to hear talks of Clippers going after DeMarcus Cousins and possibly a trade for Embiid, which I don't know about that.
What do they have to give up for
I
Embiid though? Like they don't our draft picks ain't got. What they gonna give up to get Embiid?
Exactly.
I don't see Philly saying like, "Hey, we'll take Paul George off your hands," and then them be like, "All right, sure." Because, well, to be honest, Philly needs to figure out what they're trying to do. First of all, they need to figure that out. Elton Brand hasn't done a great job since he's been there. They've used Brett Brown as a scapegoat. But in terms of who to target, Harry Giles out of Sacramento, he'll be a free agent.
That'll be a good fresh start for him. Good fresh start.
It's a piece that they could add.
Hey, what college did he go to?
Duke.
Okay, just checking.
Hi. Funke. Hi. Rudy, a sign and trade for Rudy.
A sign
Well,
and
that
trade
depends
for
on what Utah wants.
But actually, I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think that's necessarily bad. You look at kind of both spaces, both teams. Apart from talent pieces that need to be moved, there's real chemistry issues off the court with both teams. And so I think moving a Rudy and moving maybe I don't know will help clear up some of those issues, because that's the other thing. Yes, we know Doc is going to be Doc, and his adjustment game is going to be weak. But there's some chemistry issues that need to be handled. And I'm surprised. Well, it was on the sideline when it happened. But I was going to say, I was surprised that Montrezl Harrell didn't slap PG and say, playoff P who, but that needs to be figured out and rectified. Emmanuel, any other thoughts that you have in regards to what needs to happen to this Clipper team besides blow it up?
I do believe they need another point guard who's able to control the tempo more. I feel like that's something that's missing as well, besides their depth at the front line. Obviously, in order to get taller. So, yeah, I say that's a good question. I mean, I don't know who can they target in terms of a point guard.
Because right now, Pat Beverly is their starting point guard. Let's not
exactly. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's dealt for a particular player. I'm obviously, you guys heard my bold prediction of Zach LaVine going to the Clippers. I
don't know where this just came from in my brain, but I wouldn't be surprised to see. I'm just throwing this out there. One Trae Young possibly end up on the LA Clippers in the not too distant future.
They have to give up some pieces.
We got time down the line, but I do like something that James G said. Lonzo.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I could. He'd be back in LA. LeVar would love it. And
he doesn't need to. The offensive workload wouldn't be on his shoulders anymore.
No,
for him, it would just be defense and facilitate.
Because that's all he needs to do.
Yeah,
we don't need you. They don't need you shooting jumpers. Just facilitate for that team. And we know how Doc Rivers does, though. I'll give him credit for this. Doc Rivers, as a former point guard, does a pretty good job of coaching like legit point guards.
Look at Rondo.
Rondo.
Yeah,
he's got CP3. Like, he's had some point guards at his disposal. Right. So I think it might be good for young Lonzo's development, even though I'm not a fan of Lonzo. So stay tuned. All in all, Clippers gonna clip. Blessed be that the Nuggets didn't get dipped. Lakers in 6. Okay. That being said, y'all.
How long did it take you to work on that?
I made that up literally right now. Right now. Listen, they quick with it. It's the cold brews. The cold brews. We got some other smack to talk though. As y'all know, there is a current competition going on amongst those of the SSAW nation. Okay, the different houses of podcast are currently competing in the land of fantasy football. Okay, week 1 has come and gone. Okay, and the various houses, along with unaffiliated houses, have competed. Abraham, can you detail the results of week 1, please?
So, first and foremost, to all our fans, you're looking at the number one team in the league after week one.
Yes.
This is number one scoring team as well.
Yes.
We put up 193 points on our producer squad, the Craft Factory. 1-0, baby. And that's with having Mr. Aaron Rodgers on the bench and starting Carson Wentz, who everybody knows Carson got sacked 8 times, 2 interceptions. But we still put up 193. You know, if we started AR-12, it would have been a 210 piece easy. Nonetheless, shout out to Osa and Abe, number one. Then number two, the number 2 seed right now, Diamond Talk. You know, like, let's be real. During the draft, we were looking at Diamond Talk kind of crazy, like, because I think they drafted 2 wide receivers in the first round on the back-to-back. And so we were like, yo, what y'all doing? But when they have Chris Carson and Mark Andrews, who both had 2 touchdown games, it's like, look, y'all can talk whatever talk y'all want to talk. So they got that dub. I believe it was against. Shout out to James G. Appreciate you.
The fantasy king, allegedly.
Yeah, with the championship belt. Yeah, he had to take that.
You better hide that belt. Hide your belt.
He had to take that belt to Diamond Talk. Then next up was the number 3 seed, if I recall correctly, is not Cover Zero.
No, it's an unaffiliated house. It's Emmanuel's team.
It is a team that hasn't been claimed yet. So anybody listening, if you want to get in, we do have one team still available. You guys are 1-0 and the 3rd best team in the league. By all means, just hit us up. We will.
This is actually a perfect opportunity to hop and get that team. I'm willing to transfer that team.
Front runner gold,
right? Like, this is a perfect opportunity.
Already 1-0, 3rd highest scoring team. You need that. So definitely hop on that.
Right.
But yeah, they beat the SSA HQ. So shout out to CJ, Gibson, Chase. Great week one showing. They lost by 40 points. You know, they didn't even put up 150. So shout out to SSA HQ. Next one is another unaffiliated team, Rocco and Obi, or Rockobi. They put up 175. Oh, that one. Okay, that one was against Cover Zero. We got to talk about that one because that one was actually.
We need to talk about it.
Them boys was stressed in the chat, dog, because at that point they were losing by like, I think 4. It was 173 to 168, so they were losing by 5 to Cover Zero entering Monday, and I believe they had like Philip Lindsay and the kicker left. Now, if you watch the Denver game, you know that's, Philip Lindsay really ain't do much. Melvin Gordon got a lot of looks, as was expected from our fantasy gurus in SSA. Shout out to Emmanuel. Shout out to Chase.
Thank you.
And then the legendary Pats kicker, Steven Gutowski, missed 3 kicks.
4 total. He missed 4 total.
He missed 4 total kicks. And at this point, they only needed 1 more point. And the way the game was going, you're just sitting there like, yo, that's a missed field goal. That's another missed field goal. It's like, yo, they might actually lose this off the kicker. Like, at this point, 4 missed field goals. You're just like, dog, 3 missed field goals in the PAT.
Yep.
It's like, dog, that's about 11 points left on the table. So Rocco was stressing. His blood pressure was going up. My man was in the chat crying, stressing out, like calling folks. It was looking real ugly until legendary patch kicker Steven Gutowski came in the clutch and kicked the field goal. So they won, I think, 174 to 173. Cover Zero was looking at that score
to 173.2.
Cover Zero was looking at the score like, yo, wow, this is wild. So they lost a heartbreaker. Shout out to Rocco and Obi.
Shout out to Cover Zero. What's up?
What's up, Cover? The reason we said what's up, Cover Zero is because that's our week 2 opponent, baby. You know, it's like
it is.
All right, let's see what's good. And you know, the crazy thing is too. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe we were projected to lose week 1. We are also projected to lose week 2, and I'm just like, I mean,
well, it just got updated. It just got updated. We're projected to win by 1 point. I'm looking pretty good right now.
Can you imagine what's going to happen to Cover Zero if they lose back-to-back weeks by that thin of a margin? They're going to be the Clippers. They're going to be the Clippers.
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, keep in mind. What's up? Hey, no Miles Sanders, no Galladay last week.
Easy cash, baby. Easy.
And we didn't start AR-12 either.
They started AR-12.
Jordan said we ready. Listen, Jordan, I know y'all Cover Zero, but y'all might as well put 8 in the box against us, okay?
Hey, listen. If this was a best ball league, we would have had easily 250 points.
300.
On all honesty, we at least had 250.
300. Stomping through your dog.
This was best.
All right, Cover Zero, just be careful. You don't want to go 0-2 now. You don't want to be 0-2. Like Milwaukee Bucks. Don't want to play. And then last but not least, Ringside Mayhem. And this one is funny too, because low-key, like this was the lowest scoring matchup of the whole week. And shout out to Pierre, who has affiliations with both teams. So for him, it's like it's a win-win regardless. But shout out to Ringside Mayhem for winning 147.16 to 131.8. They bested full court press. So Pierre and Lyndon got the dub versus Riley and Matt. And the crazy thing is that Jordan mentioned this in the fantasy chat, was Cover Zero would have won 5 of their matchups if they played 5 other teams, especially if they had played either full court press or Ringside Mayhem. So it's unfortunate, you know, that you can put up 140 and still get the dub. Shout out to Ringside Mayhem for making it work. But we're excited. We're excited entering week 2. We definitely got the smack talking going in the chats. Everybody's active. Everybody's participating. There's money to be won. There's pride to be won. You know, who's trying to, for the podcasts that are involved, we're trying to see who can claim that title. For the non-affiliates, they're trying to see like, yo, we SSA, what's up? We run this too. We can show out. We know what we're doing. So it's going to be an exciting week 2. Be careful now. Be careful. Some teams you don't want to go 0 for 2. Some teams are looking to go 2-0. Shout out to O and A. We'll let you know what happens.
I see what Cover Zero is doing. They're making their adjustments right now. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, y'all hitting them waiver wire?
They're hitting up the bench or whatnot. Okay.
Okay.
I see what you're doing. But again, well, like what I said during the draft lottery, I ain't worried
at all.
I ain't worried, man. But I mean, this could be close because Cover Zero, they got some pretty good matchups. They got Odell playing tomorrow. By the way, obviously we'll be talking about that Thursday night game later on. But
Odell, future Minnesota Viking. Okay, there we go.
Also, we're looking at the there's one matchup I do want to highlight. It is the SSA HQ versus Full Court Press. One of them is coming out of this 0-2. So,
bruh, hey, you love to see it. You love to see it.
And Full Court Press is the number 1 pick. They had the number 1 pick, so they got it. Hey,
Riley, we need you to show up, baby. You about to even this out 1-1, or you about to go 0-2 to HQ? Let's see what's popping.
Hey, hold on. Isn't it funny that didn't SSAW HQ and Full Court Press are the top 2 picks in the draft?
They had picks 1 and 2. They definitely had picks 1 and 2. And I guess this continues the rivalry.
Listen, with the 9th pick.
We're doing it for the 9. Listen, this continues the saga of one Riley versus Michael Gibson. The saga continues. So
this is true.
I hope for one of y'all's sake that the dub comes out along the way. But speaking of football, like we mentioned, week 1 in the National Football League. Numerous storylines. I know we had talked about it maybe a couple weeks ago that our biggest concern is player health with no preseason. What's that going to look like? Guys, what were your takeaways from week 1 in the NFL?
Basically, obviously, with no preseason played into effect, and it obviously affected some teams. Like obviously, look at Tampa Bay. There was definitely some chemistry issues with the wide receivers, but also Brady threw some bad passes in the game overall. Then there had some problems with some situational football with that one kick, and it seemed like it was a whole mix-up. He didn't know what he was doing, and then Saints got great field position, and then they scored. That was one of them. Number 2, I think we saw a more heavier workload with rookie skill players in week 1. Like we especially with running backs, I think you're going to see an increase with wide receivers, especially there's some injuries with a lot of these receivers early on. I think you're going to see more rookies trying to step up and trying to claim their role in the offense. I think you see more rookies standing out so far this year, which could create more competition for being offensive rookie of the year and possibly defensive rookie of the year. So that's a good thing. Yeah, which we love it.
It's been a while since, understand it's only been week 1. We still have plenty of game left to really flesh out that race. But often when we started the season, we've had maybe like 2 or 3 people that we expected to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But this time it's just with everything that's gone on, there are multiple options. You have shout out to Cover Zero J and Jay, who was very big on Zach Moss. Zach Moss, I think, scored the 2nd touchdown of that Bills-Jets game, and it was a pass. You have CeeDee Lamb, who was getting plenty of looks. Jared Jeudy was getting looks. DeAndre Swift was getting looks, and he dropped a game-winning touchdown. There's been many players. I mean, you look at Joe Burrow, the only rookie quarterback to start in week 1. And what he was able to do, he rushed for a touchdown. And while he marched down the field in typical Cincinnati fashion, they lose on some nonsense because they can't make a chip shot. The potential is there, so I'm definitely excited for how the season's playing out for these rookies. Let me not forget Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Putting up 100 yards.
Yes, indeed.
That was our first round pick, baby. That was our first round pick. With the number 9 pick, we took Clyde, and people were like, that's where he was going in most
rookie
first round. But I've seen from social media, people are like, dang, that's very risky, like a running back, especially with no preseason and whatnot, which valid. But some people know what they're doing, and Clyde did not disappoint. He put up 100 yards in a touchdown. That's without really getting a pass. I don't think he had any passing yards either.
No.
So it's just hey.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Shout out to the number 1 picks that have been producing, the first round picks that have been producing, baby.
Right.
So it's golden. It's golden. But there are some things that we definitely have to look at, such as the Saints losing Michael Thomas for 6 to 8 weeks. They don't have a consistent number 2. They haven't had a reliable number 2 since Brandon Cooks, to be honest, if we're going to keep it up. So now, no Michael Thomas, you're looking at this team and you're saying, Breeze is the type of quarterback where he can make it work. Like, he's going to be able to air the ball out. It's just a matter of will the receivers live up to expectations? Will they provide? Kamara's workload might have to increase, Yeah,
it's running and passing.
It looks good for the Raiders though, because that's who they're playing week 2. The Raiders go to are playing Nola, and they don't got to worry about Michael Thomas.
They actually have a real easy matchup. They got, I think, one of the most easiest matchups for skill guys right now for week 2. So keep that in mind if you want DFS. Just keep that in mind. And then, shout out to J.K. Dobbins. Seemed like he had more the workload in Baltimore compared to Ingram. Which is interesting. And not only that, I believe there was an average of rookie running backs getting at least 30% of the timeshare compared to the veterans. That's pretty high. That's pretty higher than usual. So I wouldn't be surprised if it increases down the line, especially with JK getting those 2 touchdowns. And obviously they said that he's going to have a role, but this big of a role this early on, I didn't expect it. I felt, obviously my opinion was I thought it was going to be more towards the middle of the year to late in the year. He was going to, wrap it up. But Ravens, they let him go this early, and Mark Ingram was kind of like sliding down right now. Then obviously Zach Moss, it seemed like they're trusting him more with more in the red zone, basically inside the 10 and the 5-yard line in terms of him running the football. With Zach Moss, I actually had him as one of my breakout guys. I know Jay agree with me in terms of that. And in Singletary, his ADP was overvalued, like we mentioned in the past. And Singletary, he can catch the ball in the backfield, but he's not as good as Zach Moss. Zach Moss, I believe, has a little bit more talent, and right now it's showing. It's just a matter of time when he's gonna be the main guy in Buffalo. Especially Buffalo is one of the top 2 rushing offenses over the past few years. So if you look at that whole Buffalo team, so that was.
And then we got to look at Indy too with the injury to Marlon Mack.
Exactly.
He's done for the season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor. I mean, we always expected Jonathan Taylor to be the number 2 behind Mack, and Naheem Hines being number 3 as a pass catching option.
Right.
But then Naheem stepped up big time with 2 TDs, despite the Colts choking that game to the Jaguars.
Right.
That 1-2 punch is going to be fun. We'll see how Indy handles it. But Jonathan Taylor now gets more opportunities because Naheem Hines is not their bell cow. He's not going to be looked to pound the ball. That's going to be Jonathan. So opportunities are opening up. So, we hate injuries. We really do. But, next man up mentality. And for some of those teams, it's the young guys who are going to be able to get a bigger workload despite not having a preseason and a consistent training camp to really get things done. So I'm excited for week 2.
Let me put this into perspective with Jonathan Taylor's fantasy stock. Right now, if Marlon Mack would have got hurt before week 1, Jonathan Taylor would have been an RB10, which basically he would have been close to a late first at best to early second round pick. Now you're talking more in terms with right behind Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably in front of Nick Chubb, and maybe in front of Josh Jacobs, depending on your preference or your opinion with the fantasy rankings. I think people would have had Taylor as a second round pick. Now, you drafting Taylor in the 3rd or 4th round on average ADP is actually a bargain right now. Of where you draft him. So that's just some perspective, and you definitely have to start him every game, no matter what the matchup is, because his upside is crazy, and he can catch the ball in the backfield as he was improving in Wisconsin. But obviously, Naheem Hines is going to be that guy. But again, if he's down, then oh my gosh, PPR for him is going to be off the roof in terms of points.
Every game, y'all. He says start him every game. I think takeaway from me for week 1, number 1, of course, is the injury situation. When I'm looking at the injury list for the league right now going into week 2, it's some names. You're like, yeah, you alluded to Michael Thomas earlier. You see a Richard Sherman on here, Chris Godwin. Like, there are some names on here that are major playmakers for teams that for sure we know is going to influence and impact what happens over the next. For some of these teams, you look at Michael Thomas, that's 6 to 8 weeks that's going to be impacted. I won't dive too much deeper into that. Y'all can check Cover Zero for that because they'll give you all the insight on that. But also, I think the amount of overreactions. I feel like people people wigged out watching the Bucks lose to the Saints, and I
Agreed.
don't think that wasn't that big of a deal. Let's not forget it's week 1. Tom Brady is playing a brand new team, brand new offense. This has been a crazy year, crazy offseason to begin with. The Saints are still going to be Saints. It is what it is. Folks are overreacting. That's the part I think of week 1 that I really took away was just the amount of overreactions. I think you got some, Emmanuel.
No, I agree with you in terms of Michael Thomas. Also, another playmaker, Kenny Golladay, obviously having on our team. He did not practice today. That's an update, so only time will tell. I think if he doesn't practice by Thursday or mainly on Friday, if he doesn't practice Friday, I think he's not playing week 2. That's my personal opinion. He might be upgraded to doubtful or downgraded to doubtful. But if Michael Thomas
Zero is looking at it like, oh my goodness, please Galladay don't play. We're not trying to go 0-2.
Exactly.
Hey, it's all right.
Exactly.
We got options.
We got options. We have options. But yeah, with Michael Thomas, I think I told you guys in the chat we had. If I'm the Saints GM, I think they should consider trading for Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson is out there.
Yeah.
Question: who do you guys think gets moved first, Allen Robinson or OBJ?
Allen Robinson,
because they're both up for grabs right now.
I say
Allen because OBJ is going to require a higher compensation, and some people are going to be nervous about that. Right. Whereas Allen is you can't really ask for a king's ransom. Allen is not OBJ, so Allen
best landing spot for Allen Robinson in your guys' opinion.
I say Saints.
Saints are the clear option with the Michael Thomas injury, but also Houston. You know, I know they have Fuller, they have Cooks and whatnot, but it's a distinct difference not having DeAndre Hopkins. A very distinct difference. And Houston was exposed not having that. I'm not saying Allen is the same as DeAndre, but if you have a threat like Allen Robinson, who, mind you, in his short career, has also had to deal with injuries, he's had Bortles in his best season. I think that was his second year where he put up 1,400 yards. Blake Bortles was quarterback. And then last season, he put up nearly 1,200 yards with Mitch as his QB.
Right.
So he's able to make something out of nothing. And last season was his best season in terms of catch percentage. He caught 63% of the passes thrown his way.
Right.
So you send him to Houston, that's a surefire, that's hands that DeAndre gets to have. So, so look, Houston, they got to make that call. The thing is, I don't know what Houston has to offer Chicago since they barely gave up O'Brien. I don't know what he's going to do. He's probably going to be like, oh, can we get Allen Robinson? Okay, we'll give you Deshaun Watson and be like, wait, hold on. wait, hold on.
I give you Deshaun Watson and my firstborn. What?
What are y'all doing?
Right.
What do you want, Deshaun? Y'all moving Deshaun? That's what's going on. So
he think Allen Robinson is a quarterback. That's what he thinks. He thinks Allen Robinson is a quarterback. Yo, it's been wild. Week 1 has already been a ride. But speaking of overreactions, because we just talked about overreactions, I want to get to our main little tidbit for the day. As we've been talking about and paying attention to football, basketball, baseball, quite as kept over the past couple of weeks. In the tennis world, the U.S. Open went down, Flushing Meadows. And the champ, who is the rising star on the tennis scene right now, won Naomi Osaka. Okay? She came through, comeback victory in that last match, reset thriller. Shout out to her, number one. Just great statements that she made, not verbally, but in her actions after every match, wearing a mask with different name of someone who's been a victim of some sort of police brutality. But on the heels of her winning that last match, the title match, the championship match, picture was taken with her and her boyfriend YBN Corday, rapper YBN Corday. And Wasn't the picture she posted on social media, but a picture that he posted, in the aftermath. And, they're posing. She's holding, the trophy. She got her little Kobe jersey on. Shout out to the Mamba.
Yep.
And, he's flipping a bird. Okay. As a result, there's been a lot of backlash from people. The primary backlash that has been vocalized has been she can do better. Why is she dating someone like that? Why is she dating an individual of that class or caliber? She can do so much better. Oh, Naomi, you can. Guys, this leads to some interesting talking points and some interesting conversation. First, I would say is this. First question I would ask is this. Not even can Naomi do better, but does this feel like there is some sort of mold that they're trying to put her in? Because look at it. She's biracial. You have previous kind of dominant force in women's tennis is Serena Williams. And we see how she's been classified and characterized throughout her career, especially in recent history. I look back at, I think it was the U.S. Open match last year against Naomi Osaka, and how low-key she got cheated out of the match. But she was characterized as, an angry black woman because she was vocal about some things that happened and the way the match was judged or officiated. So now you have young Naomi Osaka. I think she's 18. And her boyfriend's a rapper. She's being told you should and could do better. How do y'all feel about this narrative and those comments? Emmanuel, you. Emmanuel.
No, because you already
know. That's
okay,
let Emmanuel go
first.
You take
okay, so what I see, this is more of an image problem in terms with the game of tennis. I feel like there's more of a, outside of Serena, it's a little bit more lack of diversity, and it's more conservative in terms with her. Because think about it, like Serena, she's married to, I'm not mistaken, a white guy, if I'm not mistaken, and and things like that. So it's like
he's Greek.
He's Greek. Oh, okay, but tennis is they're more conscious about the image because they're more conservative, and then now all of a sudden the rapper is dating a tennis player, which the tennis world is more conservative. So it's more of like an image thing. You see what I'm saying? It's more of an image thing, that the way I see it in terms with that, especially him flipping the bird and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, okay, that's how I see it. It's like, okay, this is more of an image thing, and possibly it could hurt. Unfortunately, this could hurt her getting more sponsorships or things like that because she's associated with a rapper. So it's kind of like the two opposites attract in a way, So that's how I view it. I think it's more of an image thing, but it seemed like she doesn't really care about it because she's all, she probably loves the guy, Obviously, she's with him. I ain't knocking her, but again, to me, with people from outside, they look at it as, okay, this is a bad image on her, per se. But that's all I have to say.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Look, we're gonna get real personal, real vulnerable here, and I want to preface it all by saying this: we are not villainizing any race of people. Right. We are not speaking in absolutes. We are sharing our own personal experience. So for those who are listening to this, understand that this isn't a general blanket statement. This is a specific and personal experience that we're sharing. And for me, I want to talk about the idea of code switching. Because when it comes to this instance of Naomi and the picture that she took with Corday, celebrating her second U.S. Open title in 3 years, people like to say, act like you've been there, You shouldn't show out like that. And for me, I have an issue with that because this is who Corday is. As far as, for all intents and purposes, this is who Corday is, And so for him being himself, you're saying like, oh, no, you got to, I'm not going to stand in a photo like that and put up my middle fingers because that's not who I am at all. I'm not that. But it bothers me Hey, shout out to the Siths. I love Darth Vader's, I love Darth Vader, but for this moment, we won't speak in absolutes. But the thing that bothers me is that the people picking and choosing what in Black culture is okay for us to show. And I say Black culture because you have to understand that Corday is a rapper. So whether he's really about that life or not, I'm not going to judge. I'm just going to go with what's been portrayed. This is who rappers are. This is what they do. They take pose, they make poses like that. They post pictures like that. And for us to be like, oh nah, but at the same time, this entire year, in years past, we're always talking about, Black joy. Black is beautiful. Support Black, ultra Black, not that Doja Cat Black. All of that unapologetically Black. And then we're saying like, whoa, Corday. Oh, no, you're doing too much. It bothers me. And the main reason it bothers me is because me, Abram, Oluwadan Lolalawa, I grew up going to a predominantly Black elementary school where the only interactions with other races I had was my teachers who were more than likely white. I also grew up in a Nigerian household. I didn't listen to my first rap album until I was in sixth. And that first rap album, honestly, was One Strike's album. For some reason, my parents had 2 copies of that in there. And they never opened it, but I just looked at it. I was like, oh, Busta Rhymes. My peers talk about Busta Rhymes all the time. Let me listen. And I'm like, yo, first of all, I love Busta Rhymes. That's my favorite album. It's my favorite hip hop because of my introduction to it and whatnot. But that being said, growing up in a predominantly Nigerian household and growing up in a city like Newark, New Jersey, which is predominantly Black, let's be clear. Children are some of the biggest bullies ever. They are some of the meanest individuals you can ever come across. And for me, I grew up where being African was an issue. You make the constant African jokes such as, "Oh, you're an African booty scratcher. Oh, do you eat lions? Do you eat squirrels?
Man.
Do you eat gazelles, etc., etc." And so for me, it was like, oh, I can't really highlight my African nature at school. I need to fit in more with the perception that Black Americans have. I need to listen to hip hop music. I need to know the latest R&B. I need to be able to rap Lil Wayne lyrics and have memory. I need to watch all the popular Black films at the time. And so I had to code switch. That was my first time learning how to code switch was when I was younger. But I didn't know exactly what it was. I just thought this was me fitting in. It finally clicked to me that it was code switching when I got to high school because I went to a predominantly white high school and a predominantly white college. When I got there, that's when I finally knew that, hey, you have to code switch because people like mentors, teachers told me like, hey, you can't act like if like you came from Newark, New Jersey. You can't act like you grew up in the hood. You can't act like you're affiliated with any resembles the hood. You have to portray yourself like white Americans view you in a positive light. Speak proper. Have manners. Sound educated. No slang. The clothes you wear be proper. And honestly, I conformed to that because that's what I was told. That's what I was taught. It honestly wasn't until my junior year of college, and shout out to my sister. because I remember being in the meeting, or is it my sophomore year? I remember being in the meeting for the Black Student Union and other ethnic cultural organizations of the college. And I revealed that, look, for the longest in public, I was ashamed of my own Nigerian culture to portray it, because it came with jokes, it came with love, it came with comments. But my sister had always been very vocal, very forward with who, and she partially didn't have a choice given what her first name is. You know, my first name is Abraham. People don't have an issue with a name like Abraham. They have issue when having a name like Lola, Olafumilaya, Abisala, Mide, all of that. So my sister didn't have a choice because her first name was full-on Yoruba Nigerian. But I picked up something from her, was like, yo, she's not afraid to be who she is. She's not afraid of her culture. And she also went to predominantly white high school and college. And that's when, for me, it finally clicked. I was like, look, I'm done with the code switching stuff. I'm going to be who I am. I am an educated Black man by far, of course. I don't really need to speak slang. I'm not from the street life. That was never me. You know, I'm not affiliated with the streets. Y'all can have that. That's not me. But at the same time, I'm not going to shy away from who I am as a Black Nigerian American and pretend to be something that white people want to see and be proud of. So my thing is this: look, Naomi, and the funny thing is, following the picture, Naomi took to social media. She stayed on it. Naomi did. Following that, Naomi posted about, like, yo, I am who I am. Hair down. I'm gonna have my hair wrapped. I'm wearing everything to represent that I am a Black Japanese woman. Do what you do. Don't ever be afraid to show your Blackness. Don't ever be afraid to show who you are and to be yourself, because we're done with that whole, like, hey, you fit this mold created by white society. You need to fit this mold that makes white people feel comfortable. And again, like, a general blanket statement to say, like, hey, all white people have this issue. That's not it by far. But let's be honest. People are definitely threatened by Black culture and threatened by how Black people behave. Like you guys mentioned, we see it in tennis. Even before the of Serena, angry Black woman, people had issue because of how loud she grunted playing the sport. They were like, oh, you know, and she looks so strong, you know, she must be a man, blah, blah, all this and that. It's like, oh, why are you threatened? Serena is by far, if not the greatest women's tennis player of all time, one of the greatest women's tennis players of all time. And she put in the work to get there. So, unapologetically Black. That's what you got to be. I'm done with code switching. I'm done with people saying you have to act like you've been there before. You have to carry yourself a certain way. There are certain instances where a statement like that makes sense depending on your environment. But in this case, no. Be who you are. Be who you are.
Bet. There's a difference between manners and molds, or actually manners and makeup. Because think about makeup. What you do with makeup is to cover stuff up and to put forth a certain image. There are some cases where, yeah, act like you've been there before, you know, act respectable and whatnot. But other cases, folks are just trying to force Maybelline on your face. It is what it is. I resonated with a lot of what you just said, Abe, in terms of code switching. I actually put this in a poem that I wrote last year for a performance I did for an organization for Black History Month. And I think the second or third line of the poem, I said, you know, growing up, I wasn't Black enough for the Blacks, and I was too Black for whites. And I think that really is a large part of the struggle, especially for, you know, people like Abraham and myself, who are born and raised in immigrant family, first generation in this country. And so there's a certain way that we're raised. But then when you come face to face with what blackness looks like here in America, it is a total flip. And then you still got to go out and you go into the world, and there are people who are going to judge you just based off of skin color and assume that, oh, you're like the rest of them. I'll never forget it. It was my freshman year in high school. I'm on the track team, and a white guy on the team asked me. He said it was me and another teammate of mine, another freshman. He said, we're both black. And he says, hey, why don't you guys say the N-word? I was like, what do you mean, why don't we say the N-word? Well, no, we see all the other black people on the team use the N-word. Why don't you use it? I said, that's just not something that's a part of my vocabulary. But why is your assumption? And that's what he assumed, dug deeper. His assumption was that that's just something we all say, apparently, right? I didn't recognize or realize what code switching was, because I was the kind of kid who, when I was in environments where people had an expectation of me, I can even take it back to, early elementary school. I went to a private Lutheran school, and the majority, I was one of, I think, 3 black kids in the entire school. And I remember they tried to kick me off of playing soccer on the playground during recess because I was deemed too aggressive. And it was to the point where they went to teachers and told them, listen, like, Osan can't play soccer on the field. These are other students, other white students. I didn't, they would say, hey man, like you gotta ease up. It even got to the point where, this sounds crazy, kids were like, hey, Osan, like you can't wear sneakers when you play. Like you gotta wear like dress shoes or something so it doesn't hurt when you come after it. When I come after you, what are you talking about? I was kicked against that. I remember being in 6th grade, transferring to a new school where, once again, I'm one of a handful of black kids in the entire school. School is in the northernmost part of the city. Okay. I mean, in as suburbia as you can. Remember, I'm sitting there after school one day with a friend, not even a friend, just, a kid I know in my class. And he asked me, we're about to hit puberty. We're in puberty, in the height of puberty. And he goes, hey man, like, so who in our class do you like? And I named this girl, and he goes, you can't like her. I said, what do you mean? Why? He said, because you're black and she's white. Meant nothing to me, but it's something that kind of stuck with me. It wasn't until I got to college that I realized what code switching was, because by probably the middle of high school is when I started to try to slip into those molds. So I mentioned the incident where someone asked me why I didn't use the N-word. This is my freshman year. By sophomore, junior year, that is a common part of my lexicon. Easy part of my lexicon. Okay. Fast forward a little bit further, and I notice when I'm with certain groups of individuals, yeah, I do act differently, talk differently. Get to college, and I take a sociology class, and sociology professor, it's an intro class, and we get to a section about language, and she brings up this topic, code switching. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, oh my goodness, I've been out here code switching just to fit in. Now, for those of you who think, well, code switching isn't that bad, understand, here's the issue with code switching. It is draining. It is draining to have to adjust and put on not different hats, but different outfit, change demeanor, mentality, because in order for me to, for example, change the way that I talk, it's not something that's just, oh, I just do it, subconsciously, but it also takes, mental energy to regulate and censor yourself and make sure certain things don't come out of your mouth because you're in a certain space, and it'll be looked down upon if you say something a certain way or act a certain way. So I thought, man, okay, code switching. Let me keep that in the back of my brain, but not realizing that once I learned what code switching was, that it would take me to a place where it's now something that I'm doing intentionally. It's no longer subconscious, but it's now intentional, and it almost became a part of the game. And then I'm gonna say this, and I'll bring it home. After college, I ended up getting a job, corporate America, working for a Fortune 500 company. My second interview with the company, I remember first I had an informal interview. It was a lunch interview with the guy who was the manager of my particular office. And coming to find out, coming off of the interview, off of that lunch meeting that we had, he didn't even want to give me a formal interview. He thought, oh, this dude, he's low IQ. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And the gentleman who introduced us, who was, the customer service manager in my office, he told him this. He said, what questions did you actually ask Osahan? Because when I interviewed Osahan a few months ago, I walked away from that interview knowing that he's one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my life. So what questions did you ask him? Did you just ask him the questions that you wanted to ask because you were looking for a certain fit and a certain look in what you wanted to hire? Or did you ask him the right questions to really get to know him? So we're sitting, I'll never forget this, we're sitting in a formal interview. It's this manager of customer service and this other individual who was the manager of the office. We're sitting in an interview. And once again, this gentleman, office manager, sales manager, it's a white guy, is asking that same weird line of questioning again because he's looking for a particular look. And so manager of customer service, he's a black guy. He had worked in areas and regions that were not friendly to black folks. Okay. He said one of his first gigs in the business goes to an office of a customer and they got a Confederate flag, boom, in the front window of the office. So he's used to dealing with this. And so he goes, hey, man, Osan's a smart guy. Don't think that because he's right here that he's just trying to just get by or get a job. Like, he knows the game. And he throws this out there. He goes, Osahan, what does it look like for someone like yourself, for example, to have to switch the way they act, they live, and they talk depending on the environment they're in? Because he said, I know, Osahan, you in this environment right now in corporate America, you're not talking the same way you would talk when you're with your buddies and your boys on Friday night. He said, do you know what that term is called, Osahan? I said, yeah, it's called code switching. The look in this white guy's eyes when I threw out the word code switching was as if, oh, like he gets it. Oh, he knows what's going on. Moral of the story, folks. Code switching is necessary in some spaces. However, when it begins to chip away at the authenticity of who you truly are, and you begin to hide your true self for the sake of accommodating and appeasing others, you're not just hindering yourself, you're hindering others, because the original you, the light that's in you, the unique qualities that are unique to you, that are in you, that no one else has wired into them, is what the world needs. And so bravo and kudos to Naomi Osaka for saying, listen, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. Her boyfriend Corday, he wasn't just some rapper who just popped up and was like, oh, I'm just going to pop up at the end after she's won a trophy and do my. No, he was there at every single match, going bonkers and bananas, supporting her in the stands. He stood by her. She made her decision who she wants to date. That's none of your guys' business. Folks, you don't have you're not going to be there. Say they get married. You're not going to be there at the altar. You don't pay her checks. You don't cut her checks. Right now, she's the highest paid, I think, female athlete in the world. You're not cutting checks for her. Let her live her life. Let her shine her light, and let her do what she is created to do. Code switching, folks. Do yourself a favor. You just got a practical lesson in it from us. If you need further info, check your own self and see, am I guilty of this on a more than regular basis? Whew. Okay. That being said, we're not going to play the special room reel intro, but we got some fresh, hot off the presses news. Baba Funke, what's the fresh news you got? Real quick. We gotta hightail it out of here. What's this fresh news you got for us? And you muted, Chief.
He forgot.
I can't hear a word he's saying.
I know, right? Jets Le'Veon Bell, he's placed on IR. He's eligible to return within 3 weeks. Obviously, Frank Gore.
Whoa, wait, what?
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell has been placed on IR. He'll be eligible, within 3 weeks.
Piling up, dude. They keep piling up.
Right now, it seems like Frank Gore is going to be the starting running back, according to Adam Gase. He's going to be the full workhorse, full bell cow in New York. The 49ers are also placing Richard Sherman on injured reserve. He's dealing with a leg injury, and he'll be eligible within 3 weeks. That's another huge loss with the Niners.
Is it the same leg that he injured his Achilles on?
I think so, if I'm not mistaken. So I know. I don't know if you guys know, Mohamed Sanu did sign with the 49ers. It makes sense because their depth at receiver with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, he won't be activated probably until a few weeks from now.
George Kittle.
Yep, George Kittle. Allen Robinson, obviously, you guys know he's basically he wants out of Chicago. He's asking for to be traded. So we'll see what happens with that. Linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. He suffered a fractured collarbone. So I believe he's gonna be out for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Bro, he's the new Sean Lee.
Yeah, a much younger too. A much younger one too. Why is Sean Lee getting the league? He's getting old. I mean, I just don't understand it. Yeah, that's basically it in terms of that. And obviously, you guys heard the Odell rumors. In terms of that, now I don't know if I told you guys, there was an update in terms of what team was interested. The Niners have been interested in OBJ for over the last couple of years. And also, they did put a trade offer. I don't know if you guys remember the offseason. They put an offer for Stephon Diggs when Minnesota put him out there in the market. And they also put an offer for Odell. They've put 3 to 4 different offers for Odell over the last few years. The Niners have. Now, supposedly, this is supposedly a rumor that it was Dante Pennington, the first-round pick for OBJ. Browns said they want more, obviously. So it seems like the Browns are willing to give OBJ for the right price. And like Abraham mentioned earlier, they want the price for Odell is going to be much higher compared for Allen Robinson, and that's why we believe Allen Robinson will be the first one to be dealt, because more than likely you're not going to give up a first-round pick for Allen Robinson in terms of that. But that's it for the news in terms with that. NBA. I got a couple NBA. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Eric Bledsoe. I believe the Bucks are going to be. They're going to put him on the trade market to see what they can get. Obviously,
they need to.
Yeah, exactly. And also, they mentioned Chris Paul as a potential target. And I also heard Russell Westbrook's name being mentioned in the Bucks front office. And it seemed like Giannis, he wants out, depending on what the Bucks bring in the offseason. It really depends. But
send him to the Clippers.
Hey, I love Greek Freak in Toronto. That's my personal opinion. But that's my personal opinion. But but yeah, so we'll see what Milwaukee's going to do in terms of when the off season. This is going to be very critical for him. I personally believe he could be traded this off season, or I say more likely the trade deadline, that which could happen. So I mean, we'll see. Now I'm gonna get into my NFL Week 2 lines. All right, this Thursday, tomorrow, Cincinnati against Cleveland. Cleveland is a 6-point favorite at home. I like Cincinnati to cover, and they could possibly win outright. I know, Abe, you're gonna like this one. I know you're gonna. I think Cincinnati is gonna win this game. Actually, this might be my upset pick. I got Cincinnati beating Cleveland.
Are they underdogs?
Yeah, Cincinnati's underdogs. They're 6-point underdogs. Yeah.
They watched that first game and listened to the press conference afterwards when Joe Burrow admitted that, he fumbled the bag. Like, he overthrew some passes. And even AJ Green said Joe Burrow was very poised and he was surprised, like being a rookie with no experience in NFL and what he did. Oh, man, and with the way the Browns got trashed by Baltimore, I'm expecting Cincy to win. You know what? Let me hit up my bookie.
Right? Hey, honestly, that touchdown run that Burrow had, I love the patience he had. I was okay. Like, when I saw that, I was impressed because he had the patience and he just took off whenever there was an opening.
Cincinnati won the division. Yeah. Yes, let's go.
Okay. Anyway, the next one. We have the Cowboys. They have a home game against the Falcons. They're a 4-point favorite. I actually like the Falcons +4. I actually got it early on Sunday night. I got it at +5, or I think 5.5. So I got a bargain for that. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I got the Falcons plus. I'll take it +4 as well against Dallas. I think Dallas wins by 3 points or less. Falcons will give them a run for their money, especially with the Cowboys struggling, with their points against the Rams, and the Rams won last week. I could see that happening. Who knows? The offense could be unleashed. Buffalo, they're a 6-point favorite on the road against Miami. I actually like Miami +6. You guys can go ahead and call me crazy. I got Miami +6.
Crazy.
But I got Bills. I got Bills winning, but I don't think they're going to win more than 6. It's too high for the spread's too high for a divisional game. Next one, Carolina. They're going on the road against Tampa. Tampa is a 9-point favorite. You know what? I'm gonna swallow the points. Give me Tampa -9. I think they're going to bounce back. I think the chemistry is going to get more on point. I think that 12 personnel is going to be a problem for Carolina, especially with Luke Kuechly and a couple other guys. I think Tampa wins this easily by 10 or more, or maybe 14 points. I'll give you Tampa -9. Denver, they're going to be on the road against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a 7.5-point favorite. Pittsburgh's defense has been playing really well, and they did cover on Monday Night Football against the Giants. Give me Pittsburgh. I'm buying the half-point hook at -7. I got Pittsburgh -7. Next one, Detroit against Green Bay. Green Bay is a 6.5-point favorite. Man, give me Green Bay. I think this is gonna be a blowout. Give me Green Bay -6. I'm buying the half-point hook. Okay, Rams and Eagles. Now I'm torn with this one. I'm actually gonna, to be honest with you, I'm actually gonna avoid this one in my parlay because I feel like this could go either way. This game go either way, but if I had to choose, give me Eagles +2. I know you're gonna hate me. Hey, give me Eagles +2. I'm just gonna take them for a bounce back. So, but I'm avoiding the game.
Look, if the nameless Washington football team can sack him 8 times, I expect AD to have 8 sacks by himself.
The Washington football team.
Yeah, I'm avoiding that game for betting reasons. I'm avoiding it because I could go either way. But if I had to choose, I'll go Philly +2. I'll buy the point hook if I had to choose. Minnesota, there are a 3-point underdog on the road against Indy. Give me Minnesota +3 on the road against the Colts. Next one, Giants. The Bears are a 5.5-point favorite against the Giants at home. I'm personally avoiding, but if I had to choose, give me Giants +5. But Bears win by 3 or less. If I had to choose, but I'm avoiding that game. Next one, Niners. They're a 7-point favorite on the road against the Jets. San Francisco should bounce back. Jimmy G didn't look good. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I got Niners win.
Nick Mullins for president.
Yeah, give me the Niners -7 on the road. I think their defense is going to bounce back even without Richard Sherman. Next one. Now, this line was huge, you guys. Tennessee, they're a 9-point favorite at home against Jacksonville. Now, keep in mind, Jacksonville, when they opened on Sunday night, they were a 10.5 road dog, which was great value. Give me Jacksonville +10. I'm buying it. Give me Jacksonville +10. Tennessee wins by at least a touchdown or less. Next one, Washington football team. They're a 7-point underdog on the road against Arizona. Give me Arizona -7. I think it's a pretty easy one. Give me Arizona.
I'm gonna be like, well, we're not about to ride the nameless one wave, right? We're not about to take them all the way to be like, hey, about to do something, right? This was just. Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Okay, Baltimore, they're a 7-point road favorite at Houston. Bad matchup for Deshaun Watson. Give me Baltimore. I think they're going to roll. I'm going to give it a score, 34-17. Give me Baltimore. I think they're going to cover this easy. Next one, Kansas City. They're a 9-point road favorite against the Chargers playing in SoFi, unfortunately. SoFi, there's no fans. There's no fans can go to the game. I was planning on going to this game because the tickets were much cheaper than the Rams. Just a side note, because I wanted to see Mahomes play up close. But give me the Chiefs. I was gonna say give me the Chargers. Give me the Chiefs -9. I think they're going to cover it big time. Washington with the upset. Hey, it's possible. It's possible.
Sammy said that though. I don't think you.
Who is Washington upsetting?
The Arizona Cardinals. I don't see it though. But
aside from their fans, look, Kyler Murray don't disappoint. DeAndre Hopkins just go crazy. Just go crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Go bananas.
Yep. I got Chiefs, obviously -9. They're gonna cover. Now this one's tricky. I'm leaning towards. I'm gonna avoid this game. New England, the Patriots will play at Seattle. Seattle is a 4-point favorite at home. Oh, this is tough.
That should be game of the week, to be honest.
This is tough. I'm gonna go Seattle money line. I'm gonna gonna avoid the spread.
I'm about to be on you. He was about to be on you, dog.
Dude, Ronnie, I said Russell Wilson was gonna be MVP. That was my prediction, bro. I'm sticking to it. But I got Seattle winning money line. They win by 3 points. So if I had to bet, I'll go Patriots +4. But Seattle will win. I'll feel safe with a money line pick. So if I had to choose, I'll say Patriots +4. But I don't think Seattle will win though. Next one, New Orleans. They're a 6-point road favorite against Las Vegas. New Orleans is going to, even though Michael Thomas is out, I see a huge game for Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara will have 2 touchdowns total in this game. I see a huge game, but also will benefit our producer because he hasn't been fantasy, Alvin Kamara. So I have the Saints covering. They're winning by at least 10 points. Give me the Saints -6 on the road. And that's it for my lines, you guys. And I think we might, I don't know, I'm trying to get in contact with Jordan. We might do a Facebook Live for the group for college football lines, probably either tomorrow or Friday night. So we're going to try to get that together. So FYI. So there'll be more. Yeah.
Stay tuned, y'all. And speaking of college, real quick before we get out of here, it's official, hot off the presses, college basketball. We'll be back November 25th. Yes, college basketball back November 25th, folks.
The day before Thanksgiving. Just day before Thanksgiving. Just FYI.
That's a little interesting, especially for students who want to be back home on Thanksgiving.
Let me schedule a vacation so I could be home for Thanksgiving and enjoy just a day full of college basketball.
Boy, that's going to be a day.
I say this every year with college basketball. Pay attention to the tournaments because, and Abe knows, sometimes the matchups you see in the tournaments, sometimes you'll see it in March Madness.
Right.
And I told people, pay attention to it because there could be some key matchups that you can see that could give you a preview of what could happen in March. I advise people to watch the tournaments and the key non-conference matchups.
Yeah.
The key ones. Because you want to see the level of play of where they're at compared to those other teams outside of the conference. And then you could kind of compare that to, what bracketology and Selection Sunday and things like that. So I encourage people, watch the tournaments very closely and key non-conference matchups. And during the conference, you could just honestly, you could just skim through it and watch highlights to see who's playing good. Just that. Also, number 3, watch the conference tournaments. Those are key because you want to see what teams that are hot heading into March Madness. Because there's been instances where teams were 8 or 9 seeds, like a UConn, and shocked everybody because they had the guard play and won it all, and knocked out the top seeds in the tournament. So, just FYI. So you always want to see those hot teams heading in, so you can have a clear idea. Okay, this team can go be in the Sweet 16, or they can go to Elite 8, or they can go to the Final 4. So just FYI. But yeah. You guys, I can't wait for college basketball. You guys know I'll be on it.
You know what team I'm not expecting to get hot and make that kind of run? Them boys with the heels of tar. Anyhow, that being said, folks, this concludes another episode of the Osa and Abe podcast show situation. Thank y'all for listening. Those of you guys who are watching this live right now in real time. We thank you. For those of you guys listening to the replay, whether it be you're watching it on YouTube or you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to it, we appreciate you as well for listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, do us a favor, leave a rating, subscribe, leave a review, all of those things. We appreciate y'all. And remember, guys, really, truly, be true to you. Stay true to yourself. Don't compromise or corrupt that for anybody. Okay, stay true to you, because there's a light and there's a special something in you that everyone, this world needs, especially in the times that we're living in. We need a lot of light and a lot of good. So, as is our thing, as is our custom, y'all know what it is. One thing, two words, get it in your brain. Omo Naija.
Unapologetically black.
Ultra black.
Imani Bates over everybody.